It was a clear, sunny autumn day in the northern Shenandoah Valley. The leaves blazed in every shade of gold, orange, and deep red, and the air was so crisp you could almost taste it. Megan and Ryan, both in their mid-40s, had driven up spontaneously that weekend from Winchester. They just needed a break from everyday life, from work deadlines, from the house that suddenly felt too quiet now that their kids had moved out, and from that restless unease they had been feeling more and more lately. They hiked side by side in comfortable silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Around the same time, Grace and Harold set out on the same trail. The couple was in their mid-60s and had been married for over 40 years. They knew these mountains like the back of their hand. For them, this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment trip. It was a sacred annual tradition. Every fall, they came here to look back with gratitude, to grow still, and to spend quiet time with God. The two couples didn't know each other. They were hiking completely independently. At Buzzard Rock, a favorite scenic overlook with sweeping views across the rolling Shenandoah Valley and toward the distant Blue Ridge Mountains, their paths crossed. Megan and Ryan stood there a little uncertain. Ryan was fiddling with his phone, trying and failing to prop it up on a rock to take a decent selfie of the two of them with the view behind them. Harold smiled kindly and stepped closer. "Would you like me to take a picture of y'all? With the whole valley in the background, it'll turn out a lot nicer." Ryan laughed with relief. "That would be great. Thank you so much." After Harold took several nice shots, he turned the phone around to show them. Megan's face lit up. "Those are beautiful. Thank you. Would you and your wife like us to take one for you? We'd be happy to." That's how the conversation started. At first, it was just polite and light. Where they were from, how long they'd been hiking, whether the climb had been tough. But quickly, all four realized they liked one another. They sat down together on the big wooden bench at the Overlook. The afternoon sun still felt warm on their faces. Grace pulled from her day pack 4 small apples and a bar of dark chocolate. "We always come prepared," she said with a laugh. The talk grew deeper. Megan and Ryan opened up about their hectic daily life, about their longing for more meaning, and about the quiet question that kept nagging at them. Was this really all there was? Grace and Harold listened attentively. They shared about their grown children, the travels they had taken, and the hard seasons they had walked through together. Ryan shook his head in amazement. "You two seem so content, so peaceful. How do you do it? We're only 10 or 15 years younger, and some days we already feel completely burned out." Harold smiled gently. Then he answered in a calm, unassuming way. "Well, you see, we walk with the Lord. That makes a lot of things easier." Megan and Ryan glanced at each other. Both looked surprised. They hadn't expected such a direct, natural answer. Megan was the first to speak again. "Walking with the Lord. What exactly do you mean by that? I'm sorry if this sounds too forward, but it doesn't come across as just a cliché when you say it. It sounds like it actually changes your life." Grace nodded with understanding. She leaned forward a little and spoke with a warm, steady voice. "It's not a cliché. Our life used to be pretty chaotic too. We struggled, we worried, we tried to carry everything in our own strength. Then one day we realized we didn't have to do it alone. Jesus showed us that we are loved, just as we are, and that He walks with us. That changed everything. Not that problems stopped coming, they still do. But the way we face them is different now. We get to trust. And that's an enormous relief." The four of them talked for nearly an hour. It wasn't a sermon or a sales pitch. It was simply an honest, warm conversation between 4 people who had met on a sunny autumn afternoon on a Virginia mountainside. When the sun dipped lower and they knew they needed to head back down before dark, they exchanged phone numbers. "In case y'all ever feel like texting," Harold said simply. In the weeks and months that followed, Megan and Ryan did reach out now and then. Sometimes a short question, sometimes a voice note asking, "How do you handle this kind of situation?" Grace and Harold always replied with patience, never preaching, always with genuine kindness. Then, about 6 months later, a long voice message arrived from Megan. Her voice sounded emotional. "Dear Grace and Harold, we have to tell you something important. A few weeks ago, we ran into another couple back home who shared something very similar to what you told us that day on the mountain. It wouldn't let us go. We started looking into it. We visited a church service in a little community church near us. And 2 weeks ago, Ryan and I both said yes to Jesus. We got baptized. We wanted you to hear it from us personally. Because without that conversation at Buzzard Rock, we probably never would have gotten here. Thank you, from the bottom of our hearts." When Harold listened to the message, tears filled his eyes. He handed the phone to Grace. The two of them sat quietly for a while. Then Grace took his hand and said softly, "You see, sometimes God just plants a little seed on a mountain while someone's taking a picture." And somewhere in a town a few miles away, Megan and Ryan sat together that evening, reading from a Bible, and felt deep in their hearts. The journey that had begun on that sunny autumn day in the Shenandoah Valley was far from over.
If this story has touched you, please give it a like and subscribe. Share it with someone who's going through a tough time right now,